I quite fancied having a go at restoring a cast iron pan, and I've been scouring the internet for a few months, and finally this Danish Copco 109E frying pan popped up. It dates from the 1960s and was designed by an American industrial designer, Michael Lax, whose friend owned the Copco kitchenware company, which was based out in Denmark on the island of Morsø, where there was a foundry, and they made lots of nice cast iron kitchenware. Luckily the pan is in pretty good nick, it's got no cracks or bends, and all I have to do is basically remove the old seasonings and any rust. I'm going to take it back to bare metal, degrease it, and then I'm going to apply my own seasonings according to a recipe I found on the internet. With the bottom and back of the handle completed, it's time to turn it over and attack the frying surface and edges. The angle grinder with the wire brush attachment was definitely the tool of choice here, as it cut through the old layers of rust and grease quite easily. The Makita impact driver with some of the smaller wire brush attachments were quite good to get into the fiddly bits like around the handle and the edges. After cleaning all of the rust and grease off, it was time to degrease the pan with some Barkeeper's Friend and some alcohol. This was so the surface of the metal was completely clean before I started applying my seasonings. Well, this pan is officially about 64 years old or thereabouts, and it's looking pretty good now, looking like it was made yesterday. After letting all the alcohol flash off, it reveals a lovely clean pan ready for the oil and wax seasoning. So what I'm going to do is mix up some avocado oil and some beeswax in this little pot here, in a kind of bain-marie, and that's going to pour into an old silicone mould I made for some ski wax a long time ago. And that should create quite a nice bar, which is solid at room temperature, which I can then rub onto the hot pan for seasoning and the next step. The recipe for the wax bar is 3 parts avocado oil to 1 part beeswax, and what I've done to apply it to the pan is I've preheated the pan to about 50 degrees or so, and then I'm melting the bar onto it, which I'll then kind of rub in with a cloth and make sure there's no drips before I place it into the oven. So for the procedure, you basically want the oil wax mixture to polymerize at a very high temperature. So you want to put your oven up to max, pretty much 250 degrees or so, and the pan is going to stay in there for about 2 hours. And then after the 2 hours is done, you're going to turn the oven off and let it cool naturally in the oven. Ideally, you'll repeat this procedure 3 to 5 times until there's a nice thick layer of the kind of wax oil mixture polymerized to the surface of the pan, which is going to be your sort of natural non-stick surface. I give the pan 4 good coats, which should give it a fighting chance against things not sticking to it. And here it is, finished and in the wild. You can see the areas of the pan which were a bit shiny now have this kind of nice amber hue, where the oil and wax mixture has polymerized and turned into a kind of hard polymer coating. The plan with this stove is to use it in conjunction with the wonderful twin Beatrice No.33 paraffin stove, which I restored in my last video. It's making short work of these chanterelle mushrooms here, which I found nearby, and I'm going to make a cooked breakfast with an egg, bacon and sausages. The dog naturally is very interested, and the pan is holding its heat fantastically and showing no signs of sticking, and the egg is releasing very well. I imagine every so often you'll have to top this seasoning up as it gets worn and scraped a little bit, but it's a fantastic pan and it's really enjoyable to use. I can't wait to use it in the future on kind of heavy camping / bushcraft trips.